What's up, guys? Welcome back to a new episode of Out of the Park Baseball 26, where we are joining you from opening day 2031. Always an exciting time. A new season of endless possibilities awaits. Our Pirates are looking to defend their title as World Series champions. And, a lot has happened in between episodes. We last left off sort of at the end of the offseason. Didn't really have much more news to recap. We were, of course, at the beginning of spring training. I've simulated all of that off camera and figured we could kind of review that news together to start today's episode and then start pushing through the early parts of the season together. I don't have a firm end date in mind, but I mentioned previously I wanted to start moving through this series a bit faster and try to make sure we get through, several more seasons before we decide to, end the series and go for a long-term sim. I want to move through the months a little bit faster, be less week to week with it, and maybe more bi-weekly check-ins as we move through. So all that to say, I think we're going to look to handle all of April, May, and June today. It's an ambitious goal, but I want to kind of make it all the way up to the halfway point, and then in next episode, we can sort of do a mid-season check-in stat review and push toward the draft date in early July. So really just looking to knock out these regular seasons in quick succession. But before we get started actually playing the games, I wanted to, like I mentioned, review some news that has happened. Last we left off, it was the opening of spring training. And of course, we completed spring training, but we didn't make it out fully healthy. We had some pretty substantial injuries listed out here below, but one injury not listed here because he just got back was Robert Gasser. Our most recent trade acquisition is, of course, fragile, and we felt good about his injury history at the time of signing him. He just had a couple of minor injuries the last few seasons, but he actually suffered a strained rotator cuff in his very first spring training outing after just a couple of innings and was unable to pitch for the entirety of spring training. But he's back now, and we're going to slot him immediately back into the rotation with no rehab assignment or anything. You can see he just pitched 1 1/3 inning, 22 pitches earlier in spring, but he was able to make it back for opening day, and he's ready to go now. So going to throw him in the rotation with no concerns. The other one is a little more serious. Cole Sands is out 7 to 8 weeks. He has bone chips in his elbow. So kind of an extended injury stint for him. We, of course, brought him on as sort of a well-established middle reliever with the potential to serve as a setup closer backup. And we knew he was fragile. This is, a little bit more substantial than I would like to see. Of course, an elbow injury is not good, so we're going to kind of slow play it with him, likely give him extended run of rehab, work as well before bringing him back. But other than that, just a couple of sort of 40-man fill-ins who had some, I think they both actually had 6 to 8 week injuries, a little more serious like ankle sprain and abdominal strain here, but they weren't really penciled in for roles for us at the major league level this season. They'll just get sent back to AAA once they finish. But those, nothing too major. I would say losing a reliever is fine. We were fully healthy on the position player front and were able to make it through cleanly. So as far as who actually made the roster, I don't think there are many surprises here. We have pretty much the full bullpen that we sort of established. We have Tyler August making it in a middle relief role. The rotation is largely the same. Mike Burrows actually had a really great spring, so we're going to bump him over Jared Jones, and Finn McElroy kind of had a so-so spring, so he's going to get the 5 spot for us. Gasser will go 2, and of course BB 1. The back end is looking pretty, to be expected. Diaz and Hudson as setup men. Carlos Mateo will get first shot at closer to start the year, and Matt Brash makes the team. I think if Cole Sands had been healthy, it would have been a conversation of, do we send down Matt Brash and, keep Sands in that spot? But, with the injury, Matt Brash makes it through and will be on our opening day roster. So not much to report here. pretty much chalk as expected. Lineup-wise, same deal. We're bringing in guys like Alex Harrington, Johnny Severino, Camden Coziel. Brock Kettleson will be our backup outfielder. Lantigua will serve as primary DH. So, kind of as expected here. I don't think anyone, got performed terribly in a way that I would question their viability on the roster. We have these stats split for spring, and Elian Pena had a 3 WRC+, but obviously we're going to bet on his talent and production. We're not going to send him down. Carson Benj as well, -6 WRC+. He's really kind of disappointed, but I'm still betting on him being a good option for us, like middle of the order power bat. So I don't think we're really switching up too much here from our initial plan. So I'm happy with that. Sanford made it through healthy. Griffin made it through healthy. We're going to go, double lefty at the start, and then it's kind of alternating from there on out. And I'm feeling really good about the whole team. So that's sort of your spring training stat injury recap. As far as other news we need to touch on before actually playing games, we got more Dev Lab results. Obviously, our owner is expecting us to make the playoffs this season, which, I am as well. We just put some guys in base running fielding programs here. So Phil Goodall improves his base running by 5. He didn't really do much for us in spring, so he will be at AAA to start the year. Ben Small improves base running by 5. He will actually get AA to start the year. I just want to see a month of strong performance out of him. And he's still just 21, so he's pretty young. I want to see a month of good play at AA, and then he can get bumped up to AAA. But that he improved his base running. Seth Weinberger managed to improve his fielding, although every attribute increases by fewer than 5 points. So he will begin at AAA at 21 years old. No improvement on catching defense for Omar Alfonso. Bill Zimmerman improves his defense hold runner rating by 5, and a couple of other attributes increase as well. He will be at AA and likely get pushed to AAA before the end of the year. We got our new star prospect, Alexis Brania, in on a base running program. I sort of glossed over this once we signed him, but we signed him to a $7 million bonus, which is obviously more than the rules allocate. So we will be penalized in the, upcoming offseason. We won't be able to sign high-tier IAFA free agents. We'll be able to sign guys below 400K, so we'll kind of be bargain bin shopping. We did that 1 year previously in the sim, and it turned out to be fine. But I guess I didn't really acknowledge that once we signed him in last episode. So there is a penalty for doing that, but I think there's an outside chance he turns into a generational player, so I was willing to take that chance on him, and he, of course, will be our starting shortstop at the DSL this season. Javi Ruiz, no improvement on catching defense. Kung Fu Panda does improve his outfield defense, which is great to see. He's about to be our starting right fielder at rookie ball, so love that he was able to improve his range by 5. And then no improvements for Brian Wyatt, and we tried to get Jason Solis better at holding runners. No improvements there either. Final bit of news here. Top prospect list. We show pretty well. Ben Small is now down to number 7 here, but still a top 10 prospect. Our system overall comes in at 3rd. We're a good bit behind Philly and Chicago now at this point, but we have top prospects Ben Small at 7, Javi Ruiz at 16, Alexis Brania debuts at 23, Tony Granger is 41st. So I think a lot more, just kind of those are our top 4 guys in the top 100, but we have a couple of guys in the 100 to 200 range. Kung Fu Panda is 102. I was thinking maybe he cracked the top 100, but he did not. Ryan Malaguti, Angel Rico, 2 of our left-handed starting pitching prospects there. And you can kind of see the rest of the guys here. Mario Hernandez in the DSL we like. Russ Meshke we took early in the draft several years ago. And Gabe Ariano is lurking at AA. I think not getting the respect he maybe deserves on the prospect list. So that's sort of your recap on everything that's happened in between episodes. I've obviously simulated up until opening day here, and we can kind of get things started. But first, I want to take a look at preseason predictions. You can see here in the AL, no team projected to really do, I would say tremendously well. Only 190 win team, Texas here, Detroit projected to win the Central, and Tampa projected to win the East. In the NL, we have several high 90 win teams. The Mets at 96, our Pirates at 97, and the Dodgers at 99. So we're projected to finish second, obviously projected to lead the Central Division. 16 games ahead of Chicago here. Big time offense, great pitching, just kind of a good combination of both. I mean, it should be no surprise. We're looking to build a dynasty here. As far as top players, Wyatt Sanford is projected to hit 35 jacks, which would be insane if he's able to do that. He's never hit for power like that throughout the sim, but if the game wants to give us that this year, we'll definitely take it. And Dan Beebe is, of course, projected to be one of the top pitchers in the league at the 2.39 ERA. So overall, a lot of expectations on the team this year. 97 would be the highest win total we have seen yet in the sim, should we, accomplish that. But I think we're finally ready to get things started. So as is tradition, we're going to look to play the opening game here of the series. We're on the road in Miami, and then it looks like we're going to Tampa right after. And, a nice little Florida trip for us. But we'll just do this opening day, and then I'll, get moving off camera and update you guys in a bit. Let's see how we do here. It will be Dan Beebe versus Chris Bubich. And I've already, removed all our pitch counts and everything. So we should be good here to simulate. And we get the 3-0 win, shutout. Only 3 hits for Miami here. Dan Beebe goes 8 innings, it looks like. I think probably ran up against his pitch count there. Lantigua 2 for 4, 2 walks for Sanford. Alex Harrington 3 for 4. We'd like to see that. And home runs for Esther Suero. So curious to see how Esther Suero will do for us this season. He'll be starting full-time for us in left field. I think this may just be like a one-season wonder with him because, as you know, we have so many outfield prospects knocking on the door. Once Suero starts moving into his arbitration years, maybe we look to cycle him out in favor of those younger players. But nice to see Carlos Mateo just step in and shut it down. No hits, 1 walk, 2 Ks. Overall, very solid game. Dan Beebe with the 82 game score is your player of the game. And 2031 is underway. So I'm going to get moving here off camera. I will jump back at some point in the middle of April to recap everything that has happened in between. So stay tuned. And the date is April 14th. You can see we have yet to lose a game in the month of April. Our Pirates are sitting at 13-3 atop the NL Central. We've been off to a great start. I mean, you can just see all the green on the screen here. Obviously on a huge win streak at the moment. If we dial all the way back to March, however, you can see we sort of split the opening series against Miami, lost on the 31st to Tampa, and otherwise have been just on a tear, like I mentioned. You will see if we can keep things rolling here, but no major news to report. I'll show you guys who's hot. Gasser is hot, Termar is hot, Axel Plaz is hot. Edward Lantigua is battling a hamstring tweak, so he is being benched for the time being, but should recover shortly. We've really had no major underperformers. I guess Suero is under the Mendoza. Lantigua is under the Mendoza when he has been playing. Alfonso got off to sort of a tough start, so we swapped him and Benj. Benj got off to a hot start, and now they've sort of inversed in a way, so we may rearrange those back to the way they were. Burrows had 1 good start, 1 not so good. Same for Jones. They're kind of, up and down. Bullpen overall has been really strong. I think there's a lot to like about our team this season. We're top of the power rankings in the MLB as well. And overall, one of the stronger teams, I want to say, in the league from, a run scoring standpoint and a runs allowed standpoint. Top in the NL in both categories. So a lot to like here. Good defense, good stealing. I guess one more lingering sort of injury that happened during this time. Elian Pena is fully healthy now, but had a knee contusion that was kind of moderate to minimal effect. We just played him through it and dialed back his base running and stealing, trying to limit him from stealing too much. But overall, he was able to make it through without any setback. So, feeling lucky there. And, Cole Sands is still out 5 weeks, so we're still pretty far away from any sort of return there. Other organizational injuries, we have a couple of pitchers have gone down. Ryan Malaguti has elbow inflammation, which is no good. And at one point, Nate Snead was on here with more shoulder injuries, so he's kind of struggling at AAA to stay healthy, it looks like. But not too much else news to touch on here. We're going to keep pushing through to the end of the month, I think, and we will review April as a whole. And it is now May 1st. Our Pirates are 23-8. A tremendous month of baseball for us. Last we checked in, we were on this Cincinnati series, and we hadn't lost in the month up until that point, and we continued the win streak on. We actually got it all the way up to 17 games in a row, which is just crazy. We ended up sweeping Washington at home, 1 game in extras here, a couple one-run games, getting really lucky in those. And then Cleveland ended up taking the final game to sort of break our win streak, but took 2 of 3 against them. Then we sort of reset a little bit. We've just been kind of up and down every other day since then. Win-loss, losing 1 in extras here. Blowout against the Dodgers 10-0 and 9-3, so those aren't too good. The Dodgers are a very strong team this year and have so far split against Chicago. So, very happy month, very happy with our performance. But if we go to the standings here, 23-8 is, super strong, but you look, it's tied with the Dodgers. They are not letting us run away with it. The game engine has sort of put them at our level, and, they were actually projected to win more games than we were in the preseason, so it's, should come as no surprise they're hanging with us so far, but really no other competition here. I mean, the Mets are a bit back. We have a 6-game lead on Cincinnati in the division already, and in the AL, really only Boston is the single team above 20 wins to this point. So a lot of stuff to like here. Termar is getting a bunch of steals. Wyatt Sanford is your batting war leader. 3 of our pitchers lead the earned run average category. Dan Beebe has the most wins and is up there in strikeouts as well, along with leading in pitcher war. So we'll take a dive into the stats here a little bit as well. If we go to our expanded standings, however, you can see we're right on with our expected record, and our run differential is plus 70. So it's kind of just, we're firing on all cylinders at the moment. But if we want to dive into the lineups, we'll take a look at who is hitting so far. Brock Kettleson has gotten 56 plate appearances, so a fair bit of run, 16 games of action. He has 5 homers, 11 RBI, and 5 steals. Good enough for an 1100 OPS and a 217 WRC+. He actually takes home NL Rookie of the Month for April and is really kind of establishing himself as a true everyday major leaguer. Right now we just have him rotating in every 4th, 5th, 6th day across all 3 outfield spots, and he brings that plus defense and base running. So we'll kind of just monitor how he continues to do, but it's funny to see 2 of our bench players leading us in WRC plus here. Of course, Wyatt Sanford. I mean, pretty much he's also near the top. Pretty much everyone is hitting. Anything above 100 is above average, and all of our guys are right there. Edward Lantigua at 95. He's heating up as of late, so I think this is on the upswing. Johnny Severino is really the only kind of outlier down there, but at the same time, he has 5 homers and 19 RBI. So, he's not doing damage regularly, but, the hits he does get are valuable. They're timely hits because he's second on the team in RBI. So I think he may just be getting a little bit unlucky at the moment. Willing to give him a longer leash as we need that left-right balance in the lineup overall. And obviously we're playing well at 23-8. I don't want to get too crazy with it and start overthinking things. But pleased to see everyone performing really, really well. As far as homers go, Alfonso has 8, Termar has 7, Connor Griffin already has 18 RBI, 6 steals, 6 homers. He's picking up right where he left off. A ton of WAR across the board for everyone here. So, the bats are hot, but the pitching is, equally hot. If we go by our starters here, maybe that's a more efficient way of looking at it. Gasser has been lights out, huge ERA plus, great FIP, striking out over 10 per 9. Finn McElroy and Dan Beebe have obviously been very good as well. Jared Jones sort of just average. Of course, he's going to have a little bit of a home run issue in some parks, but it's kind of just volatile up and down. You never really know what he's going to give us. And then Mike Burrows has just been kind of fine. I think, he's a negative WAR player. He's still trying to find it if we go into his recent games. However, you can see he's got positive game scores in a few. He just kind of had some tough starts at the very beginning of the season. So going to stick by him. Not really too worried about our rotation, just hoping everyone can remain healthy. As far as relievers go, if we go shutdown meltdowns here, maybe this is a better indication. So Tyler August has been really good, also leading us in WAR, has the most innings. He's getting a lot of volume as a middle reliever. No surprise considering his starter background and higher stamina rating, but he's actually producing this year as a reliever, whereas last year he was maybe a little bit shaky. The back end has been solid as well. Sorry, I keep filtering for different metrics here, but Mateo and Diaz both, they've got both 4 shutdowns each. Batters hitting sub 200 against Diaz, sub 100 against Mateo. Mateo does have a negative WAR because I think he gave up a couple of homers, but on the whole, I'm pretty pleased with his season. He's striking guys out and, limiting contact. So feel good about him. Brian Hudson sort of had a kind of blow-up game recently, but otherwise I've been really encouraged by his performance. He gave up 5. We kind of got shelled by the Dodgers in a couple of the games there. It kind of ruined stat lines for guys. He was one of those, and Matt Brash was as well. He was overall doing really well, and then he gave up 4 here against LA. So, with just a 7-inning sample, of course that is going to be an outlier in his numbers, but I don't think we need to make any big changes here. And overall, the team is firing on all cylinders. We are, I want to say, upper third in the majority of categories here. Good at steals. We're first in steals, second in runs scored, probably behind the Dodgers if I had to guess, and first in runs allowed. So really good. Defense up the middle is looking strong with Pena and Sanford and Griffin, as well as Alfonso behind the dish. So this is how we're looking. We're going to keep moving here. I know this is a little bit of a different format than we normally do, going game by game, but I think this is, better suited for where we're at in the series now. So I'm going to look to do May in 2 chunks as well. We'll probably just go to the 15th here, and then we'll finish out May and then keep moving along toward the midseason mark. Halfway through the month of May, we are 10-3 on the month, bringing us to 33-11. As you can see, the Chicago series, we ended up taking it, the final game. Obviously, first game of the month, 2 of 3 against San Diego, 2 of 3 on the road in St. Louis. Sweep the Braves with a couple of big offensive outbursts. 20 runs here. We'll have to dive into that box score. And then most recently, 2 of 3 against New York. So, everything's been going according to plan so far. We have one of the best records in all of the major leagues, but this game was absolutely crazy. We had 25 hits, scored in every inning but the 7th, got 8 runs in the 6th, and it was just, an onslaught. Wyatt Sanford walked 4 times. Termar was 5 for 7, 5 RBI for Alfonso. Benj, 5 for 6. Lantigua, 5 RBI, 3 for 6. Everyone was hitting. Really, really going to boost our offense. And all of this was off of, Hunter Brown, who is one of the highest paid pitchers in all of the MLB. So, tough look for the Braves when you're $55 million a year pitcher gives up 12 hits and 9 earned runs in the first 3 innings, but awesome for us, obviously. Like I mentioned, 33-11 is good enough for tops in the division, of course. We're 9.5 up on Cincinnati now, really putting some distance. 1 game up on the Dodgers for best record in the NL. Still pretty clear of everyone, although the Angels have come on as of late, so have the Athletics in Vegas. Boston still lingering at the upper 20 mark, but we're starting to put some distance, I think, on the rest of the teams in the division, which is good. Category leaders here, pretty much the same as what we looked at earlier. Wyatt Sanford no longer leading in batter war. That goes to Emil Morales of the Dodgers. But, our pitching still holding it down. Finn McElroy and Dan Beebe both having really great seasons for us. So, a couple of bits of news that have happened in this time. Like very early in the month, we had an injury to Mike Burrows, who had an elbow strain. And, this was kind of a pending elbow injury for several days, and I kind of feared the worst, but it turned out to be not so bad. Just a 2-week duration for him. He still has 2 days remaining on the IL, so I guess he recovered somewhat quickly. But given he has sort of had a shaky start to it for us this season, ERA at 6.5, I think I'm going to give him several rehab starts, not just one. I may give him 2, possibly 3. We'll kind of just take it as we go, see how he does. I don't want to rush him back. I want him to, get right. I don't think we are in any tremendous need to bring him back up because, our corresponding move was just to bump Tyler August into the rotation, and he's had, 1 good, 1 bad. So, this could also influence, how quickly we bring Burrows up. But at the very least, he'll get 1 more rehab start, and then August can either be bumped back to the bullpen. We called up Antoine Kelly as sort of the swing man, which was always, by design. When we signed him, he has option years available. So he was the first call up. Additionally, we have sent Cole Sands now back to, it looks like he's already experiencing wrist soreness. He pitched 1 2/3 innings and already has gotten hurt again. So this is new information for me. So we sent him on a rehab assignment after, he had bone chips in his elbow. So trying to see what we have here with him. I'm probably going to let him get a couple of starts and just see if he can remain healthy. But overall, at the major league level, the team is playing well. We are going to push through to the end of the month here in this next session. So 3 games on the road at Philadelphia, then a big homestand, Cincinnati and Milwaukee. Before finishing on the road on the West Coast, we go to Arizona and 2 games against San Diego to finish out. So I'll do all of that and be right back. Checking in here, it is now June 1st. We're moving through this really fast, you guys, but it's been awesome so far. We are 42-17. As you can see, a little bit of up and down. We actually lost our first series of the season here. We went on to sweep Philly since we last checked in. Lost this series at home against Cincinnati. Took 3 of 4 against Milwaukee, 2 of 3 on the road at Arizona, and have so far lost the first 2 games against San Diego. So this is going to be another series loss for us. But at 42-17, we are the best team in baseball. Sorry, I was tripping out there, but we're the best team in baseball. A little ahead of the Dodgers now, putting some distance on them. Just 5-5 over our last 10, though, so kind of just playing 500 ball. No one really in the AL, although I guess maybe the Angels are somewhat lurking near our record. As far as expanded standings, we have by far the best run differential in all of baseball at plus 127. Our only sort of pitfall is we have a negative record in 1-run games, but you usually expect this to be close to 50-50, so 2 games under, not so bad. As far as performance or news that has happened, we had Mike Burrows on a rehab assignment. We have since recalled him to the rotation, and he's performed admirably, I would say. He's made 2 starts on the 25th and the 31st, 64 game score and 65 game score, so we'll take that. 8 innings of strong work, 6 2/3 as well, so both good games, even though it was a no decision in both of those. So happy to have him back. we just bumped back Antoine Kelly to AAA, moved August to the bullpen, and are just running with things how we've always had them. Cole Sands is still on rehab at AAA, and he has 2 weeks of assignment time left. I'm going to let him remain down here. He's only got 5 2/3 innings, but he threw 44 pitches yesterday in the game, and is overall looking pretty good. 3.18 ERA, positive WAR player here, not walking guys, not really striking guys out though either. But maybe we look to call him up once this is over. I'm kind of just happy to leave our team untouched at the moment, though, because if we go into team stats here, you can see we're like first in a majority of categories, like literally first in like almost every pitching category here. The only thing we are not is walks, which we are 9th. We are first in defensive efficiency as well, second in zone rating. So this is all just like so good. Batting wise, we're first in maybe half of these categories, 7th in OBP, 3rd in hits, 10th in walks, 9th in strikeouts, but first in steals. And our record in May on the whole was 19-9, right in line with our expected. We're doing awesome. The team is playing great. I don't really have many other injury updates. Like knock on wood, we've remained healthy, but we can take a look at kind of May batting stats here if we go to kind of isolate those. Our top hitter was Termar Johnson, 4 homers, 14 ribby, 7 steals. He's actually stealing a ton of bags this year, 16 steals already, pacing for 44, which would be by far a career high. 30 home runs would be a career high as well, and 91 RBI. So he's having a career year, 2.4 WAR on the season as a whole, pacing for 6.7 there. So moving him back to 3rd was obviously awesome. 172 WRC plus in the month of May. Johnny Severino turned it around. We identified his production was maybe a little misleading at the start of the season. We stuck by him, and he rewarded us with a strong month of May here. Carson Benj also pushed across 22 RBI in the month, 938 OPS. He's been really, really awesome. Big bounce back season. You can see he's already hit 12 dingers, pacing for 33 there. And of course, he brings that Gold Glove winning defense in right field that we love so much. So pacing for a 4.6 WAR is a huge bounce back year over year from his kind of regression in 2030. So really happy with him. He had a hot May as well. Edward Lantigua and Axel Plaz both did really well as well. Elian Pena too, 5 steals. I like what he brings on the base path. He's walking a lot too, not really striking out. So really awesome to see from him. Guys who are a little under, anyone sort of in this like 90 plus range is pretty average, but Esther Suero really kind of cooled off, not really getting much luck on balls in play, sub 200 average for the month, but still relatively pleased with him. Alex Harrington, just a 32 WRC plus, not really a very strong month for him, so hopefully he can bounce back for us. But on the year, if we go here, our home run leader, we have several guys with double digits already. Johnny Severino at 10. We go all the way up to 12. 3 guys at 12. RBI leader is Carson Benj, who's our cleanup hitter, 38, and then Severino down in the 7 spot with 34, although he does bat cleanup against left-handed pitching. So a bunch of guys here with close to 30 RBI. Steals, 2 guys in double digits. Connor Griffin, 12, only caught once. Termar, 16, only caught 4 times. So pretty efficient there as well. Happy with everyone's performance for sure. Brock Kettleson up to 7 homers, 18 RBI. Kind of cooling off a little bit, although, still playing very strong. His May was more league average, where his April he had a 240 WRC plus. So that was definitely not sustainable. May a little bit, more down to earth, but still having a really great season overall for the 23, near 24-year-old. As far as pitching, we'll kind of also split this for May, and we'll zoom in on our starters here. You can see Mike Burrows only got 3 games, but I think everyone is pretty much, settling in. I guess you could say Robert Gasser had subpar ERA, but, all of them are, pretty much positive WAR for us. I think everyone is striking out a reasonable amount of guys. I'm not putting too much stock in Burrow's numbers because the games he got were just kind of at the end of the month. He didn't really, this first one was where he got injured on 5-2. So not really a full, complete picture for him. He also made one start in AAA that went really well that is not factored into these numbers here. But overall, Dan Beebe, Jared Jones, Finn McElroy all doing really, really well for us. And in the bullpen, kind of the only shaky question mark, I think, is Carlos Mateo. He's sort of melting down a little bit. The left on base percentage is not especially great with him, but it's not especially great for Edwin Diaz either. Like they're both kind of up and down at the moment. Edwin Diaz, his ERA is up to, well, this is for the month of May, but 5.25. I think I'm just good to leave it as is. I don't want to touch it too much here. I don't think anyone is really hurting us all that bad. Matt Brash had a nice month. When I'm sort of forecasting ahead to who we may send down when Cole Sands is off rehab and healthy, I think the first option would likely be Brash, just because he is the lowest rated guy. He's the 40 overall here. So, I don't know that I'm committed to that because he hasn't really been all that bad for us, and I don't want to waive and DFA him. We just had it split for May. He had a strong month of May, but I guess on the season as a whole, he is walking close to 8 per 9, which is maybe a red flag. But I think he would likely be the first candidate to get kind of booted out after Sands returns and maybe 2 weeks of game time. But that's sort of the state of the team. Let's get back to it. We're going to move through June here as well and kind of finish out at the halfway point. I don't know if that's I don't think that is all the way at the end of June. I think it's sometime in this final week where we reach the statistical halfway mark of the year, and I think that'll be a good place to leave it. But not too much longer here. We're gonna go, I think, maybe up to the 16th year, and then we'll just finish out the rest, and I'll keep you guys posted on what happens. All right, guys, jumping in here on the 16th, as you can see, a bit of up and down play. We kind of hit a, rough stretch of games here where we were kind of getting blown out. But overall, started off really strong, ended up getting swept, I guess, by San Diego on the road to sort of begin the month. But then we go on to sweep Houston and Philly at home, take the first game against Miami, lose the next two, and then split on the road at Chicago. So, there's been some big news that has happened in between. I almost jumped back on camera early to kind of let you guys know, but we actually suffered a major injury. Although it's not it's not bad. I don't want to get you guys freaking out, but Dan Beebe was hurt, and he's due back in 1 day. He has 3 days of IL time left, so we were just being conservative. He has forearm tendonitis, which was, a 2-week long injury. Felt better. He can't play through it. He's listed as out, so we just threw him on the 15-day, and the recovery time is a little bit under that full 15-day assignment. So he has not pitched for us since June 3rd, where he went up against Houston and was obviously amazing. His stats on the year are insane. He has 80 innings, sub-2 ERA, sub-1 WHIP. One of his better seasons so far at the major leagues. So hopefully this is just a small bump in the road for him and nothing too serious that we need to worry about. But our corresponding move was to actually call up Brian Hiles, the 22-year-old, I want to say 4th-round pick, that we took back in 2027. Had a great season at AAA. 1.4 WAR, started 12 games down there, had an above average ERA plus, FIP minus. Everything was looking pretty good. No, major red flags here. He played for us in spring training and was good in the Arizona Fall League last season as well. So got him a couple of starts to this point. He actually, I want to show one of the box scores that he came in on, because I believe it was this game against Philly. And this was his very first start, and look at the stat line he put up. Obviously, we won 3-0. He almost goes full complete game shutty I think he was just pulled out because he reached the pitch count we have set in the strategy, so our manager didn't let him finish, but he almost had a flawless game. Only one hit allowed, 2 walks, 13 strikeouts is a crazy stat line for a debut. And, I was really hyped about this. Like, this is awesome. And then I think he came back maybe 5 days later here, and he actually got, I think, kind of hurt in this game. He was only able to pitch 2 innings and kind of got touched up for some hits and some runs, 2 homers allowed. He came out with like a finger blister, so just a very minor injury, but he was unable to kind of finish the game here, and it was a little bit of a setback compared to his stunning debut. So that was one change we made. The other was to bring up Cole Sands. His rehab assignment ran out, and he had a good stint, 6 games down there at AAA. All the underlying looks really strong, apart from the strikeout per 9. So we brought him up, obviously, and we have waived and DFA'd Matt Brash, who is currently pending assignment. I'm going to try to send him down to AAA, but he may disagree, and we may just have to waive or release him, which would be kind of an unfortunate end to his journey with us, because I kind of just like having him. He's been a very up and down player for us, but his stat line this season is not exactly inspiring. 5 ERA. The walks are definitely very elevated, as well as the FIP. So he's definitely the weak link in the bullpen. Just makes sense to cycle him out. And if we do end up having to release him, I think we will ultimately be fine and be able to move forward with our depth. So Cole Sands slides in. The offense has gone somewhat cold in this time. Connor Griffin is really struggling to start June. Esther Suero as well. I'm honestly giving Esther Suero the side eye. He's batting below the Mendoza. And with our, strong players at AAA knocking on the door, it's going to be hard to, rationalize keeping Suero when he's just providing a 63 WRC plus, and he's pretty much a flat league average player, just playing at replacement levels. So I think once we get to the halfway point, maybe that's a good opportunity to kind of revisit his role with us in the next 10 to 15 days of game time. And we can kind of take a look down at AAA and see if there's anyone that makes sense to step up and take this role. So, he's kind of done this to himself. We had given him, first shot at the opportunity, but obviously we have ambitions to win the World Series, and this level of play is not going to cut it for us. So we may look to cycle him out next time we check in, but we're going to keep moving toward the halfway point. Alex Harrington just kind of has a strained oblique, very moderate injury here, so nothing to worry about. The full minor leagues have kicked off at this point as well. The DSL team just got started, so looking forward to what our guys can do down there. Our A-ball team is really kind of struggling. Everyone else is just doing okay, I would say. So we're going to keep moving to the halfway point. Again, I don't know when exactly that lands, but it's probably sometime around, these final days of the month. So I'll just jump back on once we get there, but we continue our trip on the road. We're going to Detroit, then back home for a short 3-game set against Texas before back on the road to the Midwest. So we're kind of being, pulled back and forth here, but we go back to Milwaukee and then end the month with New York and St. Louis at home. But again, I don't know if we're going to get to those. So let me keep moving, and I will be back with a recap once we're at midseason. All right, nearing the end of the episode. It is officially the halfway mark here. We sit on the 23rd of June, and since we last left off, overall a very solid week of baseball. Can't complain when we don't lose. A couple of notable games in here, I think. I believe it was this first game in Detroit where we... no, it was the second game. Brian Hiles got one more start here, and I wanted to kind of spotlight what he was able to do because he went 6 1/3, only allowing 1 hit, again, 3 walks, 6K, 94 pitches. So, it stinks that we don't really have a spot for him right now in the lineup because his play is so strong. We ended up sending him back down to AAA, where he, interestingly, suffered another finger blister. So that's 2 in 2 weeks for him. So we sent him back down when Dan Beebe came back, and then we threw Dan Beebe in here this next day, and it was an 8-1 victory. So he just steps right back in, delivers 7 innings of 4-hit baseball, 2 walks, 8K. Still just normal injury proneness, which we're thankful for. We had that negative Dev Lab result like several years ago with him in his initial rookie season that sort of increased his injury proneness, but we've thankfully been somewhat lucky to avoid anything major with him. So far through his career with us, he comes back and the injury history isn't like too terrible. This year he's had nausea. This was like right at the beginning of the season for 4 days, an oblique strain, and the forearm tendonitis is really his most substantial injury since his very early shoulder scar tissue removal in his rookie season that lasted 8 weeks. But otherwise, it's been pretty minor. So I think we're okay here, even though it is a little bit scary, obviously. And, you never want to see arm issues with your ace pitcher. But we've been playing really well, I would say, overall on the month, 15-5, 57-22 on the season. Still maintaining like very upper third placement in the majority of batting categories apart from walks and OBP. First in pretty much every pitching category apart from walks again, where we are 9th, and great in defense. First in defensive efficiency and zone rating. So our pitching is good, but it's also really helped out because of our defense. They're kind of just working off of each other, and the team is benefiting from that. So where do we look in the greater picture of the league? We are, like I mentioned, 57-22, which is good enough for a 4-game advantage over the LA Dodgers, and pretty far ahead of everyone else. The Angels are maybe the best team in the AL, although it looks like Tampa has kind of surged lately, but they're still just like upper 40s. We are upper 50s with our win total. As far as league leaders, nothing in the batting categories. We've kind of cooled off a bit there, or we're at least like spreading the love around. ERA, we have BB and McElroy wins BB. Carlos Mateo is inching up in saves. He has been better as of late. I was sort of calling him out a few segments ago, but he's stepped up and I think been better. But pitcher WAR, Finn McElroy, 3.2. Let's take a dive at his season. He's pacing for 200 innings, which kind of scares me, if I'm being honest. But 100 down, 2.0 ERA, sub-1 whip. This is like outrageous numbers from him. He's, I think, entering ARB. So, yeah, he's going to get a big pay increase this offseason. But obviously, love what he brings to the table with his plus control and, decent pitch mix. I think, I wouldn't expect him to do this every season. I think this is likely very much an outlier season for him, but good to see that he has this capability. But yeah, otherwise no major standouts here in terms of league leaders. I'll show you some messages we got here. Our mid-season review from our owner. He's very happy with the record, which is I think all we need to care about at this point in the simulation. Not really pleased that we let Nick Gonzalez sign an extension elsewhere, so that's whatever. But overall, I think we're fine. I kind of want to, in next episode, take a look at guys that we previously had on our team, like Nick Gonzalez, O'Neal Cruz, Hunter Green, and kind of check in on their stats to see how they're doing. I think that would be a fun little exercise. But we also got news on expiring personnel. And this is sort of a topic I wanted to address here, but, we've renewed several of these guys already. We already got our bench coach on a new extension, which is obviously excellent, but I was considering the role of AJ Preller, our scout here, and he's been pretty good for us so far this, sim. I've been pleased with, the talent he's been able to find first in the draft and in international free agency, but I don't really like that he's only good at scouting the major and minor leagues. It makes me think that we're not, as well informed as we could be when we consider like lineup optimization and the talent of our, current major leaguers and minor leaguers. So, it could be like we're not promoting guys soon enough. We're not seeing things when guys are in our minor league system that's like truly accurate to their potential. So I'm considering moving on from him, and I don't like when I'm playing out of the park. I don't like starting with having to hire a new scout at the beginning of the off season. It's just like the worst time to do it. So if we choose to move on from AJ Preller, I think we likely fire him late in the season, in September or August, and then hire a new scout then. And we're sort of overlapping with our pay there for a brief period, but it just allows us to bring a new scout on with enough time to kind of establish the talent of our system and hopefully, just be it'll be the most well-timed move we can make. But obviously we're going to keep AJ through this year's draft. I mean, that's in just a matter of weeks, but something I'm thinking about long-term, if I go to the personnel free agent list and find someone who has better grades here, that are at least more consistent across all these categories, and also favors tools, I will likely look to make that move. But we're top of the power rankings, and we've been top of the power rankings for pretty much every week. The last bit of news we'll touch on here before I let you go is updated prospects. So we have now 2 top 10 prospects. We have Ben Small up to number 6. I think he's gotten really great stats at AA now. He sort of had a down year there last year. And this year, in just 65 games of action, I think he's proven all he needs to prove with a 1,000 OPS. So in between videos, I'm going to kind of readjust our minor league system, promote guys to higher levels, and I think he makes sense to bump up to AAA, where he'll be then knocking on the door, I think, for a September call-up. I kind of want to preserve his rookie eligibility for next season for potential prospect promotion incentive gains. So I'm going to try to manipulate it a little bit with him. But at the very least, he will be in AAA. And we also have Javi Ruiz creeping into the top 10. He was, I think, 16 previously. He's all the way up to 10 now. And, just 10 games at the DSL so far this season, but 1 homer, 7 RBI, OPSing 1,000, a couple of doubles. Trying to get a new scouting report back on him, but we've been able to kind of maintain, everything we see with him, which is, amazing. I don't know if he'll ever truly be a catcher. Obviously, we hope he can grow into that, but at the very least, he'll be a power DH corner outfielder that we can pencil into our future. Still just 19 years old, so really excited that he is climbing up the rankings. As far as systems go, we are number 2 now. We have, Javi Ruiz, but then Alexis Braina at 33, and Tony Granger has moved up to 34. I actually already promoted Tony to AAA, and he's only gotten 1 start, and he got kind of hurt in that initial outing, which is classic. Obviously, that's going to happen. But, he'll finish out the year at AAA. He's 23. I sort of, his AA numbers weren't the best, but we kind of just, it was sort of like an age-related promotion. We kind of need to throw him in AAA. He's almost 24. We need to see what we have with him and challenge him for the back half of the season. So those are our top 100 guys. Not too much else has changed in terms of guys between 100 and 200, but you can see here a couple of guys: Angel Rico, Ryan Malaguti. Wallace Cannell is an interesting shortstop who is up to number 108. Kung Fu Panda at 111. Brian Hiles at 157. I'll show you Wallace Cannell because I think he is interesting. He's a former 4th-round pick in 2028. We took him out of high school. He was from Canada. Sort of a long shot, but good personality and work ethic. It looks like has carried him. It has boosted his attributes. He's playing at high A currently at almost 21, about 20, but kind of like how he's looking here. I don't know if he's a full-time shortstop with just the 45 grade there, but he can be a plus second baseman for sure. 6'1", 185. Decent speed, still 60 grade, a lot more power to tap into, and overall pretty well-rounded contact hitter. So if he continues to produce, we could start to look ahead and maybe try to factor him in as either a backup infield role, or try to see how he fits into our puzzle at the major league level. We'll have to keep an eye on him and see how he continues to grow. But I think we're going to leave it here, guys. In next episode, we will sort of just, I think, advance ahead to the draft, and I'll kind of leave it on a cliffhanger where you guys can voice your opinions. It should be a much shorter episode, which I'm actually looking forward to. We sort of glossed over the rookie combine. I think I don't want to show that to you guys anymore because as we've reviewed in previous seasons, it's sort of lost its purpose in recent updates to the game. So I kind of just did that off camera, and I'll show you the prospects that are available once we get to the first year player draft in July. So that'll be the agenda for next episode. Let's check when it actually is. It is on the 11th. So we don't have many games to play. We just sort of have, a road set here against Milwaukee, back at home, and then it looks like we start a road trip where, of course, we play the Twins every year leading into the All-Star break. So we'll look to, advance just a couple of weeks of game time in next episode and take a look at what's available to us on the board at our pick at the end of the first round, and try to strategize from there. But I'll also plan to do sort of a broader prospect review and check in around the league and see how everyone is doing. But I want to be mindful of your time here, so I appreciate you watching these videos. Let me know what you think of the first half of our season, and I will be back with a new video for you very soon. Thanks.